it's Ray, and today I actually have a story time for you all. I don't like to do sit down talk videos. I know my first video was a sit down and talk video, so was this one. So maybe I will turn out to like it, maybe I won't, I don't know. But I do have a funny story to share, and I think that people will take it different depending on who you are and what you eat. I'm a vegan, and I try not to be an outspoken vegan. I commend the people that are. It's amazing that you guys speak up and about our morals and the truth behind the meat and dairy industry and all that. I think it's amazing that people do that. I am surrounded with carnivores, and it's hard, and I don't want to be that person, and I don't want to be that vegan. So I speak out in different ways. But this particular situation, I spoke out a lot. So let's just get into it. So my brother is dating a Cuban girl, and her family was so nice enough to invite my parents to their house for a pig roast. Well, unbeknownst to my boyfriend and I, we went to go visit my parents. And then they tell us when they get there that they had made this plans to go to this pig roast. And, you know, me eating the way I do, don't technically usually go to pig roasts. So this was kind of, you know, it is what it is. And I was willing to go because, I mean, Cuban food, they have a lot of amazing, like, beans and rice and vegetables and stuff like that. And I knew I'd be fine. Ate before I went, like normal. I always eat. But when we get there, they have the pig roasting and all this stuff, and not a single person but my brother's girlfriend spoke English. Her whole family only spoke Spanish. They didn't speak, I mean, they could, but not a great deal. It's very broken up, as somebody learning English would be. So we get there and it was kind of awkward, and my stomach was really hurting. I've been eating terrible lately. I was eating just like way too much junk food. I eat a lot of junk food, but I was eating so unhealthy. So my stomach was really hurting, and I used a medicated topical rub, and then I thought I took some CBD capsules. They're 30 milligrams each, and I took them because my stomach was hurting. Well, turns out I took two 30 milligram THC capsules. So I was stoned, like really stoned. And when I smoke, I don't get very stoned, but when I take these capsules, I get like to a level, and I was at that level. I was sitting in my chair, like trying not to sway, talking to my parents. And my parents know that I use medical marijuana for my anxiety and for my migraines and my back pain. And I was swaying. My mom was convinced that I was swaying because of the one beer I drank. I drank one Corona, might I add, like a Corona. There's nothing in that. But my mother, being sweet and innocent as can be, thought that I was swaying from that one beer, which is fine because she thought I took CBD too. Well, no, I was really high. So they're cooking the pig and people get talking, and like I said, I don't like to be an outspoken vegan, so I don't bring it up or anything. And my mom had said something, and then my dad not pulled aside, I guess they were already talking, but I was talking to the man of the house, the house we were at, my brother's girlfriend's father, and he speaks very broken English, and they were conversing and stuff, and my dad mentions like, hey, what do you think about how she eats? And he says she's vegan, she doesn't eat meat or dairy or what else don't she eat? And I'm like, I don't eat eggs or anything that comes from an animal. And I kind of wanted to just drop off there, but of course it didn't. And this very, very nice Cuban man just gets into it with me, and not in an angry way at all. Like it was very kind and very funny conversation. And the couple things that he said stood out was at the end of the the end of the conversation, he goes, "I have one question. Why?" And I said, all the reasons in the world is why. But he also brought to my attention, you eat what cows eat, but you not fat like cow. I said that in such a bad accent. Please don't get mad at me for that. I butchered it. I'm sorry. I did no offense to anybody. I'm just trying to make it sound like how he was saying it. But you're not fat like cow. And I was like, well, I don't eat as much as a cow. And I don't drink a cow's milk like the cow does. And then, I wanted to get into the, cow's milk is formulated to bring a baby cow into a big giant cow and all this stuff, and I just didn't want to get into it more, and he wanted to keep talking about it, and he was very kind about it. The language barrier and me not wanting to get into it put in effect, and on top of it I was really stoned. So he just kept going, and it was so funny. And at the end of the conversation, I was laughing. I thought it was hilarious. He's a very traditional Cuban man who eats, a lot of meat, like everybody else I'm surrounded with. But he was very kind. He was very nice. And his wife, it was the sweetest thing. His wife went inside the house and made me special food. She made me these fried corn patties. Oh my gosh, I wish I knew the name of them. I need to look it up because they literally tasted, I haven't had cheese in a long time, so I could be totally off. But it just tasted like, that crispy fried cheese that you get on the corner of homemade mac and cheese and stuff like that. Tasted like that, but it was just corn, fried corn, so it wasn't very healthy. But it was, oh my gosh, it was so good. So she went out of her way and made me this, beautiful meal that I could eat alongside everybody else, which was very nice. But to bring up another thing, I have no cultural knowledge on, people from Cuba. And the way they had their dining set, we were outside, and they had a dining room table and dining chairs and dining set plates and silverware and all that stuff outside. And there was only a place for 8 people. Well, the people that in my family were there were my brother, my boyfriend, and my parents, and I. And so, because we were guests, we sat down and ate in front of everyone else while they waited for us to finish eating. And from somebody that's not very, not aware, but somebody that's not very used to the Cuban culture, or any other culture for that matter, it was really awkward. I was just sitting there, my boyfriend and I kept looking at each other what's happening? We felt very awkward and very rushed, but the meal was beautiful and the meal tasted amazing. But on top of all of this, I was swaying in my seat stoned, okay? Mom thinking that it's off one beer, not arguing, but having a beautiful, funny conversation with man eater. Oh my gosh, no, meat eater. Could be the same thing, right? And on top of all of this, there was 2 10-year-olds there, and these 2 10-year-olds had little crushes on me, which was very cute, but I feel very awkward about it because I've had jobs in the past with kids, and you can't, allow a child to talk to you or think of you that way or aid in that way. I've always had those rules. So being in a situation where I don't have those rules and I could play along and, be fun with it and stuff, I felt very awkward on top of being very stoned. So here, these 2 10-year-old boys keep running up and asking to take pictures with me and wanting me to jump on the trampoline with them and stuff. And I was just like, I don't bounce. That was my excuse why I wouldn't go on the trampoline. I don't bounce. I'm gonna use that excuse more. I don't bounce. So on top of all of that, I was so overstimulated. There was food, there was intense funny conversations that every single person there that was listening to, and the language barrier and sitting down in front of everybody else while they waited to eat too. And these two little boys that were cute as shit. The one actually sat with us when we sat down to eat before everyone else. And it was funny. I kept like trying to have a little conversation with him, but it was so awkward and I was so stoned. And I was eating good food, so like I wanted to eat the food and not talk to this kid. But but altogether it was a very good experience, very fun. And you know, in the title I said I fought a grown man, a vegan fought a grown man at a pig roast, which I did, and I felt proud of myself because I held back, unnecessary facts. I knew they weren't going to listen. Nonetheless, were they not going to understand? There's that language barrier, and as much as I wanted to get across my morals and the reasons and stuff, I think I did in a respectful and lighthearted way. And that's the way I like to do it. I don't like to pressure people or, say that the stuff they eat is disgusting even though it is. I try really hard, and I hope people can understand that. I hope he took that from the conversation I had, and he gave me a big hug after and thought it was so funny, and he's like, "Oh, I love you. You crazy, but I love you." And it was awesome. It was such a healthy, positive conversation to have, even though we had two totally different sides on a very sensitive matter for me anyway. The fact that we had two different sides and we went into this conversation and came out of it both smiling and laughing and thinking it was funny, and both kind of got our points across. I think it's great. I love things like that. I love heartfelt, honest conversations with people. And even though there was that huge language barrier, I definitely took from it, and I hope he did too, and maybe the rest of the family. So, yep, there's my first story time for you all. I hope people watch it. And let me know if you ever get in a conversation, if you're a vegan or a meat eater, and you get in a conversation with somebody, like, how do you like to leave it off? How do you go about stating your opinion without offending? Or do you don't give a shit and you just offend and say what's on your mind? And I want to hear what you guys think and what you guys say to people and stuff like that. I'd love to hear what other people say. And warning out there for any other stoners, make sure you read the labels and you're taking the right amount. If you think you're taking CBD pills and you're actually taking THC pills, it's going to be a totally different effect. Totally. So just warning out there for everyone. So, yeah, that's my story time. I hope you guys enjoyed, and come back. I am going to be making my very first Stoner's Kitchen episode next week. Leave a comment down below, maybe some foods that you want me to try. I already have a couple ideas what I want to do first, but if anybody watches this one and has ideas of things that you want me to try to make while stoned and talking to someone and all that good stuff, let me know. Thanks. Bye.